Well, good morning. Good morning. Oh, good afternoon, ladies. How y'all doing today?
Yeah, don't
Great. How are you today?
Doing fantastic out here in sunny Houston, Texas,
Oh,
where
yes.
the weather is hot and steamy, but everything is doing fantastic here. How are you guys?
Flo, where are you today? Are you
I'm back
in the
I'm back
country?
in Savannah. I'm back in Savannah. I was in Brunswick for 2 days, but I'm back home today. I'll be leaving Sunday for Florida.
Okay.
I'm
We know that you are the travel lady.
trying to keep up with y'all. Especially Tanya. Tanya, stay gone. My husband tells me I just come home to visit.
Yeah.
My friend said, yeah, she'll be home to visit probably next week.
Good. And I'm here in Savannah. It is a dreary day today. I moved some today, so got some moving around in today. A brisk, quick walk today, so I was able to do that. This weekend, more of the same. This is my get moving, get my heart pumped up weekend, so I'm excited to do that. So I'll be popping up here and there and walking it out.
Yeah, it's a holiday weekend, so make sure on Monday you don't go to work now. You get out and you go walk again.
Yes.
It's a Memorial Day coming up.
Didn't realize it was a holiday this weekend, but
yeah.
I can tell you, Ronetta, I have not been posting very much, but I have been walking every single day, every evening. I have about 3 other young ladies that have been walking with me, and we've been doing a minimum of 2 miles. And if we can do longer, we get it in. So it has been one of those active weeks. And I already know that next week I won't be walking very much because I'm super busy. But it's great weather here. Kind of reminds me of California sometimes because it's cold at night. I'm surprised. I'm thinking it should always be hot in Texas, but it's not. So when we go out in the evening and everybody's like, "Oh, it's so nice," I'm like, "It's freezing." It's freezing
because they're accustomed to it, So, but that's great. Getting accustomed to those different, because that nighttime brisk air is really, really good, for us anyway. So to be able to walk in that time, you're doing really, really well. And speaking of exercise, ladies, sometimes we don't always know the impact that the show has on others, right? So we had Coach Nikki on last week, and I've had people ask, how can I get in contact with Coach Nikki? Because I want to get, I just don't have the discipline, myself included, to always, because you can pull up stuff on the internet, but understanding how to put it together, you really need a trainer or you need an expert. And I've had several people ask about getting in contact with Coach Nikki. So ladies, what we do, does make an impact. So I am so happy that we're doing this. I'm so glad that we decided to dedicate this month to women's health, because people are watching, people are appreciating the kinds of quality shows that we're bringing right here in our community that can help people globally. So, ladies, I applaud you and I appreciate you.
Oh,
Well,
thank
I
you.
definitely appreciate you two ladies. We got to get Anthony back in it. He's been missing too much. I know I was missing a lot of the shows, but Anthony got to get back on track. But then again, this is Women's Month, so we just take over.
Yes, we're doing the thing for for Women's Month. And and we're continuing in that. I think this month we've been able to talk about so many topics that affect us as women, and today we're able to continue that with our guest today. And in what we're talking about today, that's invaluable and another resource right here within our community serving us. So, Tanya, would you like to introduce our guest for today?
Yes, yes, yes. We're so excited to have Mrs. Ella Williamson from the African American Resource Center here in Savannah, Georgia. We thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
Well, I'm wonderful, ladies, and I am indeed excited about joining this conversation today on women's health. I think it's a very important topic, and I look forward to providing my input.
Well, we look forward to hearing a whole lot from you. The African American Resource Center has been around in our community for quite some time. And tell people how they can use it or just come in or what's it there for? Why did St. Joseph Candler create it?
Yes, the St. Joseph Scaler African American Health Information and Resource Center is a long name, has been in our community for 23 plus years. We started the African American Center to address two issues in our community. One was the digital divide, and I think that all of us during COVID-19 saw how much the digital divide is still an issue for people of color in our community. That there were a lot of people during COVID-19 that didn't have access to the internet and those kinds of things. We also opened the center to address the issues of health disparities, and that's reducing the gap in healthcare. That when we look at health issues like heart disease and diabetes and stroke, that African Americans tend to die more so from the diseases. It's not that other ethnic groups are not impacted by these diseases, but our group tend to die more because normally when they come into our healthcare system, they are normally in a later stage of the disease. So a big part of what we try to do at the African American Center is to educate individuals about how to make good choices so that hopefully they won't be impacted by some of these diseases. And then for those individuals who are impacted by diabetes and hypertension and stress, we try to help them learn how to manage it. We love to tell people that you may have diabetes, but diabetes don't have you.
Amen.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And as we're talking about those topics, there's a topic that continuously affects women. And we've talked about this before. We talked about the fact that, we wear a super W, right?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
come on.
Yes,
yes, yes,
we have our capes, and we are running here and running there, saving everything, right? And everyone. But what we don't realize is that while we're doing that for everyone else, we're not taking care of that big stress, right?
yes,
That
yes.
we can. So talk to us a little bit about that. What is stress and how does stress affect us as women?
Yes, the definition that I always like to give people about what I think stress is, it's like being out in the rain all the time. Stress is, when we think about stress, and particularly chronic stress and excessive stress, it's like it's always raining in your life and you
Mm.
never get any sunshine. And
Wow.
so I think that, everyone experience stress. We all experience stress, but there is positive stress and then negative stress. And unfortunately, for women of color, most of the time we are dealing with chronic and excessive stress. And as you said, sometimes we don't even realize that we're stressed because we have, train ourselves to just keep going, keep pressing forward. And we don't take the time to really realize, like, I am really stressed. I'm stressed out, And so, unfortunately, sometimes it takes an illness before we slow down enough to realize that I need to make some changes. So stress is just our body's response to the daily events in our lives. And there's good stress, there's bad stress. And stress is bad when it's chronic and it's every day that you are experiencing an episode in your life and you're not getting any release from that pressure. And that is when we should, be really concerned, because that's when we're probably entering into the danger zone. And we'll talk, a little later about some of the problems that can happen when a person experience chronic stress for a long period of time.
Question.
Yes.
I have definitely visited the the center plenty of times, and exceptional job you're doing. Thank you for being on the show right here, spreading the information that's necessary for everyone to learn. Some of the benefits you have available for anyone out there, because I suffer with high blood pressure. And
Mhm.
how often do I need to check my blood pressure? Do you think? How often do I need to check, make sure everything's okay?
Well, at the African American Center, we do offer a free blood pressure check for the
Okay.
community. So people can come in at any time and they don't need an appointment. I say someone who is suffering from high blood pressure and you're on medication and you're under the care of a physician, that number one, that you should be having your regular checkups with your physician. But once a month, when you take your blood pressure and it's within the range that you and your doctor need it to be, then I say once or twice a month is good. But
Okay.
if blood pressure is a moving target. So if you know that your pressure, vacillate up and down, then you might want to take it more on a regular basis. We always encourage people who come to the African American Center to take it on a regular basis and to keep a record of it.
Yeah.
Not just take your blood pressure, but keep a record of it.
Don't rely
Um,
on memory.
Yes, because by keeping a record of it, when you go in to see your physician, then you and him can have a conversation about, whether or not your pressure is staying up too high, even with medication. So, I would encourage people to do it regularly. But if you're under a doctor care and you're really good about taking your medication, you're exercising, and you're doing all those things to manage your blood pressure, then maybe twice a month. But it's good to keep a record of it. So I tell people don't, because it's good to know your numbers. A lot of us know our phone numbers. um, we
Yeah,
need to make
7
sure that we know our blood pressure numbers. And so I always tell people that know your numbers, your blood pressure, your cholesterol numbers, not just your phone number, but also your cholesterol and blood pressure number, because it's really, really, really important. And the sooner you know some of your numbers, then you can start putting plans into action. A lot of things like high blood pressure and cholesterol can be prevented if we know that we're in those pre-diabetic, pre-cholesterol stages. Then we can start doing things to, modify our lifestyle.
Mhm. If you hadn't mentioned yet, what is your hours of operation? And I don't know if I got the location. I know it's on Abercorn.
Yes.
What is the hours of operation in your location?
Yeah, the center is located at 1910 Abercorn Street. That's at the corner of 36 and Abercorn, and we're open Monday through Thursday from 8:30 a.m. until 7 o'clock p.m. and on Fridays from 8:30 a.m. until 5 o'clock p.m. And I think the number is running. Our number is 912-447-6605. And so people can call us at any time to sign up for the various programs that we offer at the African American Center. And we always try to, be there when the community need us. We're probably like maybe one of several social services agencies that stay open until 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes we do a survey and we ask people, what else can we do? And they say, stay open later. And so I would say, well, if we stay open any later, we're going to have to get a bed. But we do try to, that was probably one of the things that we decided very early on when St. Joseph's County opened the African American Center, was to try to be available when the community needs us. So that's why we're open until 7 o'clock.
Okay.
That's wonderful.
And talking about stress, I don't really recognize when I am stressed until I'm frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I recognize it, or when my shoulders really are hurting, and then someone else normally has to say that's nothing but stress.
Yes.
So, what are some of those symptoms? What should I be looking at?
Yes. Well, there are many symptoms of stress. And I always like to say that stress is symptoms are sometimes unique to every individual. And so, the way I experience stress in my body, you may not experience it that way. But some of the common symptoms of stress is physical. And as you were saying, Tanya, some people feel pain in their neck, if you feel pain in their back. Some people get headaches. Some people feel tired. They have difficulty sleeping. Some people either they are overeat or they are undereat. Some people increase their drug and alcohol intake when they're under stress. So those are some physical symptoms. We also have emotional symptoms. And with emotional symptoms, you can see people expressing anger a lot. Sometimes people say, I'm bored. And that boredom sometimes is just another way of saying I'm stressed. And also just feeling out of control. That no matter what you do, everything seems out of control. And those are emotional symptoms of stress. Some mental symptoms of stress are things like, you cannot make a decision. It's like you need to do something, but you just won't make that decision. We can get forgetful. Sometimes people think because they are forgetting, I may be in the early signs of Alzheimer's or dementia, but stress can also trigger forgetfulness. So that's also a sign that you may be, experiencing stress. Some people tend to work longer hours, like they're stressed and they think that, okay, if I work longer, then, maybe I can, get from under the stress. So that's also an indication that a person may be experiencing stress. And then tension in relationships. I think a lot of times, we have problems in relationship, whether it's with our coworkers, whether it's with our family members, because we are, under stress. And then the last thing I would say about how you may know that you are stressed is spiritual. A lot of times people say to us, go to church, talk to a pastor. But sometimes when you are experiencing chronic stress, people tend to feel empty even toward their spiritual life. And that thing that used to bring them a lot of comfort and joy now seem empty. So I think that there are lots of ways that you can kind of identify that you may be experiencing chronic stress. But remember, as I said earlier, one of those things to key you in that these symptoms may be leading to something serious is when you are experiencing these symptoms every day. You're having headaches every day. You're feeling tired. You can't get things done. Then that's when you know you're going in the danger zone and probably need to have a conversation with someone about how to manage your stress.
So great. Now, so we're talking about, and I'm glad you mentioned managing stress. And as I've listened to you share some of the ways that we as women can recognize stress, I find myself like I raised my hand a few times because, I'm like, okay, I've experienced that. I've experienced that. Wait, that also, and we don't, again, we don't know,
Right.
we don't know because we are conditioned to just cope, right?
Yes.
So we're
Yes.
always thinking, just cope. It'll work itself out, right?
Yes. Yes.
But stress doesn't work itself out. So
Correct.
how can we, manage stress? What are some things that we can do to manage this stress? Because now we're recognizing it, but how do we manage it?
That's a very good question, and I would say that before we kind of get into managing stress, the things I always like to say to women is that you also got to take a time out. We put kids in time out like all the time, right? It's like, okay, you go to time out, right? I think as women, we have to learn how to put ourselves in time out.
That's
Um,
difficult.
yeah, I know. But when you put yourself in time out, it gives you an opportunity to begin to reflect
Mhm.
on, what is really going on in your life, and that is how you begin to manage stress. When you are constantly moving at bullet speed, it's hard to kind of pinpoint those things that are causing stress in your life because as you were saying, Miss Gardner, we think we can, cook the bacon and bring it home and everything, right? Um,
Right.
so when we're doing that,
Raise
it's
it.
hard to assess, what's really going on. So one of the things that I try to encourage women to do, and just people in general, is to just take a time out. And if that means taking some time off from work, if that means taking time away from your family, then do it. Other ways of managing stress is through relaxation and meditation. Sometimes we do yoga classes at the African American Center, and people tend to kind of shy away from yoga classes. They think, oh, I don't know about sitting still and meditating, but it is so powerful to
Yes.
quiet your mind. I tell people yoga and meditation is just about quieting the mind so that you have an opportunity to really hear your own self think. Um, when we are moving at bullet speed and we're doing everything for everybody else, I think sometimes we can lose our own voice. And so, in order to gain your voice, in order to, gain your power back, sometimes you have to find the opportunity to quiet your mind. The other thing that can, help people deal with stress is just getting sleep. I mean, a lot of times we don't sleep. We don't sleep, And so we tell our kids that they need 8 hours of rest. But as an adult, we also need to make sure that we are, getting sleep. And we also need to take care of our bodies. You ladies was talking about how now you're out walking every day. And I was so inspired by that because that's a great way, to take care of your bodies is just to get out and to get, regular exercise, to get plenty of sleep, to avoid caffeine if possible. I know sometimes people say I'm a caffeine person. I got to have my coffee in the morning. But
No.
uh, but sometimes we need to make sure that we can, control things like that. And then just unwind. Now, one of the things I tell people that they really should do, and I do this myself, is that when you get off work, the first 20 minutes that you get home, you should unwind and you should do absolutely nothing. And that is the hardest thing to do. And I had to train myself to do that because sometimes we leave the job and then we switch into the housework. We pick up the broom or we start washing dishes and we start putting things away. But I always challenge people to say, hey, take 20 minutes every day when you get home and unwind. And
That's
even if that means, when I started doing this, sometimes I would literally have to go to the mall
Mm.
and just walk around the mall for 20 minutes and then go home, so that I made sure that I had the opportunity to unwind. And so, these are just some general tips that you can do to try to help manage your stress. And again, we offer some of these classes at the African American Center, and that's the purpose of offering the classes, is to try to help people deal with stress.
So
Wow.
what are some of the classes that you guys offer? Then you said you offer some classes. So you offer this, do you offer the meditation class? Because I'm telling you, trying to sit, I guess I'm one of those people that I think when I'm moving at warp speed, that I'm getting a lot done. So it sounds like I'm just moving and I may not,
Not getting
I
nothing.
may not get anything done, you know, and then quieting your mind. So let's talk about this meditation class. What happens in this class? Because I can't imagine sitting, still, that's so difficult. My daughter and I tried yoga, and I'm like, you want me to sit in a pole?
time out.
Yeah.
What? I have things to do. My mind, that quieting your mind. So tell us about those classes.
Okay, so our stress and reduction meditation class will be perfect for you, Miss Gardner, because what we try to do in the meditation class is that it's okay for your mind to wander. When you're starting out doing a meditation and yoga class, it's going to take time for you to train your mind to be quiet and to be still. So a lot of times what our instructor does is that we do what we call guided meditation. With guided meditation, we're kind of helping you quiet your mind. But as you get more advanced into meditation, you'll learn how to quiet your own mind. And so sometimes that's the biggest myth, that, okay, when I'm meditating, that I won't think about the dishes in the dish machine, or we think that, okay, when I'm meditating, I'm going to forget about everything, but that's not true. It's okay for your mind to wander. I think the most important part about the stress meditation and reduction class is that you are just sitting still. You are just being still for a few moments. And by just being still, it helps you sometimes to organize your day. It helps you to organize your week. And I think that that's the most important thing with meditation, is that it gives you an opportunity just to reflect. And the more you do it, the more you will learn how to manage your stress. So our stress and meditation class is on Mondays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You can come in person or you can do it online. One of the things that our instructor always say to us is you have to do it on a regular basis. You can't do it one time and then don't do it tomorrow, or don't do it in 2 or 3 weeks, because it's really easy to fall out of rhythm. But if you do it on a regular basis, it will become a part of your lifestyle, and something that will really bring you benefits as you move forward in life.
I just love when I get stressed because my stress relief is ice cream.
Ah,
Yes, it is, Tanya.
Well,
comfort foods. Comfort
yeah. So,
foods.
and some people do that, and it's okay, so maybe you should select the ice cream type. Is it low fat, or. But if you do it once in a while, I tell people moderation is okay. So if you're just doing that every once in a while, then that's okay. But now if you're doing it every day, then I might want to encourage you to come to some of our education classes at the center. Uh, but if it's in moderation, I think that I would say that that's okay. And if you know your numbers again, you know your cholesterol numbers, you know your blood pressure number, and you are walking on a regular basis, then if you find something that works for you, like that's good. I did a training about 2 weeks ago, and I was talking to people also about putting together like a treasure box of things that helps you to relax. So that's another opportunity for you to teach yourself how to manage stress, by having a treasure box where you keep things in there that helps you to relax, like puzzles, and different things like that. So that's another way that you can manage stress, by creating you a treasure box. And that's what you go to when you're stressed out. maybe instead of doing the ice cream, you do a puzzle, or something like that, or you knit, or you do something else besides just eat ice cream.
Ice cream. When are the yoga classes held? The same time? Is that during the 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.?
No, the stress and meditation classes on Mondays from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. And then the yoga class is on Tuesdays from 11 to 12. And then we have a African dance class on Tuesday nights, which is really great. We have a live drummer. And so with the African dance and cardio class, that's another way of, dealing with stress by making sure you're exercising on a regular basis. So the African dance and the cardio is just really good, especially for heart health, because we should make sure as adult women that we are getting at least 30 minutes of brisk exercise every day.
Is there an email group that we can join in order to get the information to our email, or do we come down there and just pick up the paperwork?
No, we do have a distribution list. During COVID-19, we all had to, pivot to make sure that we were able to stay in contact with all of our center users. So if they call the center, again, our number is 912-447-6605, and just request to be put on our email distribution list, then they would get the information to their email on a weekly to bi-weekly basis.
Okay, because I know I used to get them through the mail before COVID, and I get one envelope with everything for the whole month.
Yes, we have a newsletter now that we send out, and so if you are not getting it, just call the center and just give us your email address again, and we'll make sure that you get in our newsletter distribution list. So okay. Yes, we also send our information to the community through our newsletter. And now we're using an email distribution list because of COVID-19. So just call the center and we'll be happy to connect you to all of the wonderful services that we offer to the community.
Yeah. And I remember I did the financial education workshop classes there. Yes. So I'd love to hook that up again, and couldn't do it during 2019, 2020, 2021. But I love to connect back with the community and offer those free classes. We can come there and do that, or they can register for our classes that we offer online. But I'd love to, to jumpstart that again after all painful sessions.
And that would be great, Flo, because one of the reasons why we did that is, our definition of health is that health is more than just the mere absence of disease. It's the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the psychological. And so, we're going to have a healthy community, a healthy society, and we have to make sure that we're meeting, all of the needs of an individual, not just the physical, but the mental and emotional. And so that's why, we incorporate the financial classes into the center's cycle of education, because all of that in the end will help us to have, healthy people. I tell people all the time, our health is our wealth. And so unless you are, healthy, then you'll never gain your wealth. And so sometimes we don't think about that until we get sick. And sometimes we don't think about our health status until we get sick. And so we try to work on that now. Like, that's why we're really big on education at the African American Center, raising awareness about issues so that people realize, how valuable their health is to them.
And one other thing, there's only one African American Center in Savannah. Is there any chance of them opening another one in another location, maybe South Side or any other areas within Chatham County, or is it just gonna, if it's gonna happen, change?
That's a good question. I think right now it's just in that location. But one thing, what we do, Flo, is we do go to a lot of other centers and share the information that we have. I'm really big on collaboration and partnering. And so I know right now we're probably in 7 different other centers where my staff go in and we offer blood pressure screenings, we offer education classes, we do the bingo classes. So, some of our programs are portable, and so we are able to take some of those services out into the community.
That's great. It's good to know.
Miss Williamson, I have some of the busiest executives on our call right now just listening. Okay. And so
Okay.
I need you, just because they may have missed the first part, but for those women that are here that are, again, they're execs, they have a lot of people that they manage, they're in charge, and they just keep going, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So what tips can we give them, just on a busy day, on just kind of slowing down during their day? What can they do?
That's a good question. And I think, one of the things that, women can do during the course of their workday is to step away from their desk for at least 10 minutes, and just take a walk. If you are working in an area that you can get outside, step away from your desk, even if you have to go and sit in your car for 10 minutes, do something to get out of your office so that you're not, and I'm talking to myself, because I tend to stay at my desk, all day. And, my secretary used to say, Ella, I just worry about you because you never go to lunch. You never, never, never go to lunch. And so I really had to get cautious of that, because sometimes we can just get in a pattern of just working, working, working. And yes, we may be accomplishing things, but at what expense? And the other thing I would say to the executors that are on the line is that for the first time, and when I heard this stat, it just made me just tremble. For the first time in the history of this country, uh, the our children have a shorter lifespan than we do.
What?
Our children have a shorter lifespan than we do. So do it for them. We must become role models for our children to teach them about how important it is to have balance in their lives. And they learned that from us, in terms of how they're going to manage their stress, how they're going to manage situations in their lives. We know right now in this country that stress is probably one of the number one problem in this country, because of COVID, because of a lot of other things, all the things that we're seeing that's happening in the world. And so I would tell you to think about it in those terms as well. Is what am I leaving behind? What kind of legacy am I showing my young daughter or my niece about how she should cope with things in her life? And so that I think that that's so important, that you think about the future generation that's coming behind us. And so I encourage people to take breaks from their desk. I encourage you to make sure that when the weekend comes, that it's the weekend. Uh, because a lot of times we tend to take work with us. We tend to take paperwork home. And that's another way that, you can help manage your stress, is to leave paperwork at the office. Don't bring it home. Because sometimes when we bring it home, when we do have a few minutes to ourselves, we find ourselves talking to Ella. We find ourselves going into our briefcases, and we said we weren't going to work for the weekend, and the next thing you know, you're actually working and you're doing something. So sometimes I think you just have to leave everything at work, and then also, unplugging some of our devices. I think that's another reason we stay tied to work, is because we are always connected, and so we have to find a way to just to disconnect. Um, I sometimes I turn on my lunch break at work. Sometimes I actually turn my desktop off so I don't get distracted by an email that might come up. So it's just different things like that you really have to, work really hard to and embrace these kinds of things, so that you make sure that you are putting them to practice in your everyday life. I wouldn't say that it's easy, but I think that, if you do one activity a week to reduce stress in your life, then you're on your way to creating a lifestyle that's going to benefit you as well as your family long term.
Yeah. I know what I started doing is when I go to dinner or lunch with my husband, I leave my cell phone in the car.
Very
Started
good.
maybe about a year ago now, maybe about a year. So anytime we go out to eat, because I'm always working, I'm a workaholic. I love working. Point
Yes.
blank period. I love working, love staying busy. And when I get home, I need to wind down, like you said, for 20 minutes, but I just delve right into doing something else. So I said, okay, whenever we go out to lunch, and he'll call me and say, let's go to lunch or go to dinner, I always leave the cell phone in the car.
Very
Oh,
good. That's good. And then, some people, before they go in their house, they may have a sitting area outside. So, like maybe before
yeah.
you go into the house, sit outside. The weather is nice now. So just sit outside for 15 or 20 minutes before you go in the house. Because there's something about going in that house.
You just want to grab you.
uh, so sometimes, just finding a way, to quiet your mind, take a walk around the lake, do something before you go home and just delve into it. But we're workaholics. I mean, I think it's something that is kind of ingrained in us.
Green and
Um,
women. That's right.
yeah, I know for me, when I think about my childhood, that was something that, we were working all the time. I started working when I was 12 years old. And so, it's just a part of it. We were always taught, to be the best that you can be. And so we were always working. But I think I had to learn, to be the best is to sometimes do less. And
Wow. I
um,
love that.
yeah, so to be the best, do less. Because when you are doing less, you realize sometimes, what it is that you really need to do for yourself. And that is why sometimes I like to sit alone and to just think so that I can figure out, what it is that I need, what it is that I want in my life. And I'm making sure that I'm beating my own drums. I think sometimes when we are experiencing chronic stress and excessive stress, we're walking in someone else's footsteps. And so I always try to, tell people, in order to get out of the rain of stress, then sometimes you're going to have to, put on that umbrella of loneliness and get by yourself and make sure you create a path that's going to be right for you.
Now, that's a great conversation. I think you're so right that we have to, especially as women, encourage each other, tell each other that it's okay, to sometimes not be okay and to be stressed and to do something about it. I think we have to encourage each other
Yes,
and say it's okay if you need to change direction, because
yes,
sometimes we're on this one path.
yes,
We think that's the only path that there is, whether, like you said, someone else has told us that this is the path you need to be on, and then we're afraid to pivot. And sometimes pivoting can be the best thing for us because it
yes,
does relieve some of the other stress. And I say that personally because I had to pivot.
yes,
I was so stressed by work and other things. And when I finally, you know, I guess found the courage to
yes,
actually pivot, because it's a courage thing.
yes,
When you've done something one way for so long. And I think these types of conversations help women to gain that confidence to be able to take a step back, or to be able to pursue something else, or make a pivot so that we are healthy. Because as you said, and this show's topic is about women's health, it is our wealth, and
yes.
health will always be our wealth. So conversations like this have to be continued.
Yes, yes. And I think that, and we have to encourage each other. I mean, and I think that's just a huge lesson for everyone who's listening today. We have to be each other's sister keepers.
Mhm.
And we have to remind each other to say, hey, take a break. When was the last time you had a vacation? You girls was, or you young ladies was talking, about where you were traveling. Wow, how encouraging is that, right? That's like checking in on each other, like where you been lately, because that's that indication that you are taking care of yourself, and that you're not just staying in one location, and that you're finding ways to do outside of your regular comfort zone. But I believe that we should definitely encourage each other. We should continue having conversations like this, about how to handle stress, because as we said in the beginning, sometimes you can just be so busy that you don't even realize that you are stressed.
Mhm.
So I think that's a good thing we can do. Yes, ma'am.
Um, question, not question, but statement. Do you agree also that lack of money or having too much money could also cause stress? Because money is a stressful thing, whether you have too much or not enough, or even having just the right amount of money. You
Oh,
still could be stressed out over it.
you really can. Not having enough of money sometimes limit people from being able to take true vacations. But we still talk to people about doing stay vacation. Sometimes there are wonderful things right here in your own community that you can do and see that can help you to relax. And then people who have a lot of money, sometimes they are stressed because depending upon the type of family that they are in, sometimes people are worrying them about lending them money and taking care of things. And so sometimes, that can be stressful because you could have been the first person in your family who kind of made it financially. And so everybody kind of looked to you to say, oh, well, can you help me out with this? Can you pay this for me? So sometimes, that can be stressful as well. And so you're right, but money is such a tricky thing. And I think that once again is a conversation. That's why I love your program, Flo, because it really does, talk to people about, money management. And I think that, that's the issue when you're running into stressful issues with money is normally around the management. And so programs like the one that you sponsor kind of help people to learn how to manage their monies. And even if you have limited money, deciding what it is that you're spending your monies on, so a lot of times we are stressful. We may not make the amount of money that a CEO is making, but we're making decent money. But the reason why we are experiencing difficulty is because we are not managing it well.
Yeah, that's true.
So we have a question here. As a young woman starting a career, how do I manage stress?
Uh, I think, and I would assume when she says she's a young woman starting that she's maybe just coming out of college and maybe entering into the workforce, for the first time. And, I would simply, say to her is to always remember to put herself first because when a lot of times when we walk out of college and we've got that degree, we are entering into that work mode. But I would say, as you start your career, always remember to put yourself first, to put yourself on your calendar, not just appointments, but to put yourself on there and make sure that you are carving out time to make sure your weekends are your weekends and that you're always doing stuff for yourself and not just the job.
So true.
You
Good advice.
hear that?
Abby?
So I'm kind of stuck on your conversation in reference to meditation. You talked a little bit about that. How often should a person meditate?
Well, I meditate every day. I mean, again, as I said, earlier, meditation is something that you kind of have to practice. The more you practice it, the more comfortable that you get with it. But I think every day, meditating every day is fine. Meditation may be just for 10 minutes. You can meditate before you get out of your bed. You can just lay there and imagine how you want your day to be, before you put your feet on the floor. So meditation doesn't have to be sitting in a chair and having an instructor talk to you. You can even teach yourself to meditate. And meditation is just being quiet. And so that's one of the things that I do even before I get out of the bed in the morning. I start trying to imagine the type of day that I want. And how I want my day to proceed. And that really helps me to put things into perspective. I don't turn on the TV. I don't grab my phone. I spend the first 5 or 10 minutes just laying in my bed and thinking about what it is that I want to accomplish in my day.
As a director, How do you manage your
Mhm.
staff stress?
My health. Say it
Your
Your
again.
staff.
your staff's stress.
Stress. Oh, that very good question. One of the things that I try to do with staff is to always encourage them to take time off. Sometimes we can have ton of PTO, and I was like, why are you holding on to this PTO, which is paid time off? I encourage staff to always use their PTO, because there's no need to keep that PTO, because if you by chance pass away,
It's gone.
it's gone, right? So I encourage people, to use their time. And then with us being a faith-based organization, we also have a spiritual coordinator with St. Joseph's Counselor. So we have avenues that our employees can take advantage of as well, to help them manage stress, especially during COVID-19. So we have, some staff members on staff who can work with individuals who may be experiencing stress and just need somebody to talk to. So we have some avenues at St. Joseph's Counselor for our employees.
Well, we thank you so much for this awesome platform today that you shared with us. This was powerful. Again, we had some very, some executives, just busy women on our line today. And I think you've helped so many of them, and you definitely have helped me. It's something that I want to do, want to be able to recognize as I'm getting older what
Yes.
stress really is and how it affects our health. And,
Yeah, before medication.
yeah, what you
Before you're on medication, to
right.
control it and
Yes.
to help you cope with it.
Yes, yes, and that's so true. The sooner you can get control of it, the less the possibility of you having to take medication. And I think we were talking about heart disease. Sometimes a fast heart rate, people think, "Oh, I'm having a heart attack," but really, it's related to stress. And as soon as you can kind of get that under control, the better. Your health will be in the long term. So, and just talking to you guys was also, encouraging to me, because we have to encourage each other, and we have to keep talking about stress. And I hope you guys continue, doing the women health component, because I think, or just the health component, because it's so important, to have that conversation. So, I was encouraged even talking to you guys today about how important it is to manage your stress.
Well,
Thank
thank you. I certainly will be in attendance, since I'm guilty of, meditation and yoga fail. So, I'll continue to do that, and loving to dance. And I hadn't thought about that, really quickly. We used to dance so much when we were younger, you know, and the older we get, for some reason, we don't dance as much, but
Yes,
remember the feeling
yes,
we used to have when we would just dance and move. And, so having that component for people to just get out and dance, we always say, dance like no one's watching, you know,
yes.
and let's get back into doing that. So I'll definitely be visiting. I learned so much about myself today, listening to you talk about the symptoms, things to watch out for, things that we're doing that we don't even recognize. And so this show for me was powerful, powerful. And so as the show continued up, friends of mine, I'm on there with colleagues and friends saying, hey, catch this show, because as women, this was definitely powerful. We talk about silent killers and silent things, and not recognizing stress is one of those things that leads to so many other areas. So for me, this has been just a great show. Thank you. Thank you so much for
You're
taking
welcome.
time out. You continue to serve our community. And there's another, I think that we hadn't had a chance to talk about, where to find those resources. We talked about the Hero database. Tell us a little bit about that before we end for the day.
Yes, there is the Hero database that is available here in Chatham County. There are more than 1,500 resources in that database, and it's both health and social services resources. There's a mental health category. So for individuals who may be listening to us today who really do need some mental health support, they can go to the Hero database and find out about all of the resources here in Chatham County that deals with mental health and stress, and we have agencies about counseling. So there's lots of services. And the website is www.herohelpme.com. And I didn't know whether you guys had an opportunity to put that up, but the herohelpme.com database is a great resource. We have more than 1,500 individuals who visit that site on a monthly basis. So, and we are always adding information. There's a community calendar on there. Yes, there it is, the www.herohelpme.com. And it has more than 1,500 agencies. And if you cannot find what you need, my information is also connected to the database, and we'll be happy to help you locate resources here in Chatham County.
Thank you so
Before
much.
we leave, I just want to recap, because I'm on the site right now. All the good things that you offer: health screenings, blood pressure screenings, Living Smart Fitness Club. You have that with yoga, Zumba, line dancing, stress reduction, wisdom and gathering sessions. Wow, health literacy programs. Community health care, social services referrals. And you also have a children's services, I see.
Yes.
Shows.
Yes, we do puppet shows, but the biggest thing right now for the summer is that we are launching our Healthy Kids Cooking Camp. We've been doing that for 15 years. And so we try to teach young people how to make healthy meals during the summer, not burn down their parents' house, but learn how
That's
to.
more stress.
Right. We try to teach them how to make, healthy snacks at home, because a lot of our kids, I mean, this is an old term, latchkey kids, but sometimes when our children go home in the afternoons, particularly when they was in school, they're coming home to an empty house. And so what we try to do through the Healthy Kids Cooking Camp is to teach them how to make healthy snacks, so they don't grab a bag of potato chips or soda or a candy bar, but they know how to make a healthy snack for themselves. And so that registration is open as well. And so they can call the center, and we'll be happy to have their children in the Healthy Kids Cooking Camp this summer.
And then after that, they go free movie night. We got a lot going on.
It's a lot of
going on. Great having you here. I'm going to definitely be there tomorrow to get my pressure check.
Okay, awesome.
Today, before the day's out, I'm going to get my pressure check.
Awesome.
Appreciate you very much being on the show.
And thank you all so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Okay, so this is Ronetta Milner Gardner saying, as always, first, manage your stress. If you're stressed, do something about it. There are resources out there, to help with stress. There's a lot going on this weekend, ladies. So if you're doing all the sides for the barbecue and you're decorating the tables and doing all of that stuff, take a moment to yourself, break away from the pack and take a moment to unwind. But as always, I say, whatever you do, make it a great day.
Hey, and I'm Tanya, your insurance professor. And like I always say, live life like there is no tomorrow.
And this is Mad Flow, making a difference for life and others, of Mad Flow Financial and Consulting Services, LLC. And I'm going to go out with my little song right here so y'all can hear it. Mad Flow.
And thank you, Ella Williamson, director of the St. Joe's Candler African American Resource Center. It's been an awesome show.
Thank you.
All right. You all have an awesome day. Take care. See y'all next Friday.
Listen.